Ghana is across social media. We're talking about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then always add the hashtag. We're talking about TV3Newday. As you do that, let me just apprise you of our guest this morning. I have the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, a former Deputy Trade Minister. We'll be talking issues of debt relief and what the President has been advocating at that climate change conference taking place in the great resort, beach resort site of Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. You go there, it's very beautiful. Yeah, very beautiful place, Sharm el-Sheikh.
Have you been there before?
Yes, once.
You have tasted.
Yeah. Oh no, not on my own. But you know, journalism with a patch. So I patch.
You get crash.
Yeah, I patch. Big man always say me so.
Sharm el-Sheikh.
Sharm el-Sheikh. Yes. Mashallah, mashallah. And then also great friend, great brother as well, former Member of Parliament for Tema East. We have Daniel Ni Kwate Titus Glover. I'm trying to read his name very well so that he doesn't correct me this time. Before he became a straight politician, he used to be a trade unionist. So he's well versed in all the things that we'll be talking about, because we will be also delving into the issue of the current impasse where we have pre-tertiary education teachers currently on strike. We'll have some insights from the national the commission that is in charge for that, the National Labour Commission, and what the main issues are. Let me just apprise you of what's on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Has on the front page, Ghana receives climate change grant, $3 million to help cut emissions in forestry sector. But at this conference, the President is also advocating that, well, debt relief should be substituted for whatever it is that is being negotiated for climate change, so that there's some level of substitution. Yeah. We also have on the front page, strike. Labour Ministry drags 3 teacher unions before Labour Commission. We'll try as much as possible get onto the phone lines as we have this conversation and speak to Thomas Musa. He's on the front page. He is the General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Teachers. On the front page of the Daily Guide, it is redeem $100 billion climate change pledge. Nana Adodankwe Kufuado to developed economies. At the same time, we're saying that the developed economies are facing difficulties. We're asking them also to also redeem the pledge to us. So, but we want more help. So it means that they have the capacity. We don't have the capacity, certainly. So we'll see. Up there we have ex-Beige Bank CEO get 200 million Ghana cedi bail. And the Business and Financial Times will be the last paper. It says consumer inflation set to cross 40% mark. We're waiting for the Ghana Statistical Service to announce that of October. Cross already is 37.2. Cross 40%. God bless you. 2022 growth projected around 4.5%. Yeah, so we're still growing. Well, good morning to all of you. How are you?
Well, good.
Great.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
The past 2 weeks.
Over the last week, you've been sending me a lot of videos.
Yes, because I want to share some of the things that I see going around globally.
Yeah.
In terms of these challenges that we are facing as a country, as a world. So at least you abreast yourself with some of these information. And I believe that when you also get saved, share some with me so that all of us
will be on the same page. I think that all of us are having great conversations to make sure we take the country out of the economic downturn. Absolutely. As we have it. How are you also?
Alhamdulillah, I'm okay.
Mashallah.
We can't complain. I had little sleep yesterday.
Why?
I don't sleep early usually.
Okay.
But for some strange reasons, I was so tired when I got home. Then I slept, because usually I have to pray midnight before I sleep, and it should be after 12. Yesterday, I slept somewhere around 10 o'clock, or 10:30. So by 3 o'clock, I woke up and I couldn't sleep again. I tried hard, I couldn't sleep again. So, and I have a packed day today, actually. I have a packed day, unfortunately.
We will show the best. I'm sure today you'll be fine.
I will be fine.
You're somebody who is always up, so like schooling a lot, so always read it. Now, let's get into the main conversation, and it's that conversation about the striking teachers. It's on. They've now been dragged to the National Labour Commission. Let's have an insight from the Executive Secretary of the Commission, and then we'll come back and have this conversation, whether that's the right way that the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations need to take as far as the cause is related.
We are inviting them to come, not the striking teachers alone. The Ministry of Employment, Labour Relations, the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service, the teacher unions, all those who were parties to the earlier negotiating table, who were unable to settle their difference, have been asked to appear before the Commission 10 a.m. The education sector is a very important sector. The preschool, I can imagine the number of students who are at home. Parents, uneasy for parents. It's uneasy for us. It's uneasy for you. And you know, most children, when you leave them, you know what can happen. So ordinarily, we were going to sit at 11 o'clock. That's when the commission was. But the commission has decided to come as early as 9 o'clock and make it a priority to, assist.
Honourable, you take a look at the current impasse. For example, I know NAT has in excess 250,000 teachers. We have the Concerned Teachers Ghana as well. We have NAGRAT. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Should have been better managed than we're saying.
Thank you so much, Roland, and good morning to your viewers, and good morning to my brother, Ibrahim Mutala. I've told him to teach me Dagbang. I'm the chief in Tema. I'm in Dantaliga in Tema, the Dagoma community.
Dantalga,
He's
I like
refusing to do the needful.
That's bad.
Yeah, nah, it's my sim.
No.
So good to see you, Mutala, again. And seriously, we shouldn't have gotten to where we are now in terms of this impasse. Because when the union started giving the signs, in fact, I was on a Sempa FM one afternoon when my brother, the president for NAGRAT, Kabonu, spoke. In fact, he was the first to speak against the appointment of, is it Dr. Nkanza or
yes,
what's the name? Yeah. And I could feel what the end is going to be. I was
You mean you had even envisaged it based on that?
Absolutely, because the way Kabonu spoke, that they are not going to agree for the appointment of this young man as the new Director General. And I was taken aback. Then subsequently, other unions started talking about it. I would have loved that the ministry could have moved immediately to salvage this situation than to wait to get out of hand. Now, when I listened to the unions, they had a meeting with the Minister for Education. Then later, employment came in that they wanted to see, because that is their area. If there is any dispute, any labor unrest, the mother ministry to look at the matter is the Ministry for Employment and Labor Relations. So they gave them yesterday that they are going to continue with the discussion, only for them to be told that the matter has been referred to the National Labour Commission for them to make a determination of the matter. You see, in industrial relations, nobody wins, nobody loses. It's a win-win thing. If the unions are angry, if the unions are livid, I would have loved the minister to go to them. When I was the deputy minister for transport,
Yes.
Ayalolo, Metromas, anytime they want to agitate, because my minister knows that that is my strength, and I'm greeting him, Minister Siama. He said, Kwatei, this is your area.
Because you're a former Labour leader. Yes.
He said, please, Kwatei, please go and see your people.
Why is that important?
It's about relationship and respect. It's about relationship and respect. Because you're social partners. You have your role, they have their role. They are angry. So find a way to put your hand on your heart and make sure you calm nerves.
Do you think the teachers feel disrespected? So that perhaps could be informing their position.
I don't want to go in that area. Some of the arguments that they are using, they are saying that we want one of our own to become the director general. Whatever it is, this young man, Dr. Nkansa, I'm told that he has been the director of tertiary education. He has taught in the classroom a couple of times, even though he did not have any qualification in terms of education. But the fact that I've taught before. When I started hustle, I taught.
You mean you went to the training college?
I didn't go to training college.
People teacher?
People teacher at Goshen.
You are not an educationist?
I'm not an educationist.
Okay, great.
I did cultural studies.
So you do agree that somebody like you shouldn't be appointed to that position? I mean, with the arguments that the labor unions are making.
You see, if you have waited for me to finish, you get my point.
Please continue.
Do you understand? So the fact that Dr. Nkansa hasn't got a degree in education, but the fact that at least he has been to the classroom, he has been a director of tertiary education, at least he has had some responsibilities of managing a department in the Ministry of Education. He's going to manage resources and people and provide leadership in the administration of education in our country. So clearly, I think that we don't need to stretch this matter too much. We'll call for cool heads, give respect to each other, and let's look at the bottom line. What are the issues? What do we think we can do together? Because the children are in school and the teachers are on strike. I don't think that's the best way to go. This is not a matter that we should drag too much. I seriously think that the Labour Commission should have even come into this matter at all.
Why?
Yes, because I expect the Minister for Education to go to these people. It doesn't take away the respect he has as the Minister for Education. Look, my brothers, come. Come, let's sit. Let's break bread together. There's a way that you go around some of these things that will not raise any unnecessary tension and any eyebrows in this matter. That is what, if it is me, that's how I would have done. Okay. I would have knocked on the door of Kabunu, the General Secretary of NAT, and other unions. Surprisingly, you are there, I'll come. Minister, what are you doing here? I've come for us to talk. It doesn't take away my role as a minister for education. I think that what we need to do is to avoid some of these things and make sure that things that matter in education are what we should focus our attention and adrenaline on.
Now you've been a trained teacher. If you won't, yesterday, 3 days ago, we did a conversation. I think the generality of the teacher groupings seem to have a certain position, and the position also espoused by the union is that this is setting a bad precedent. It doesn't give inspiration to the rank and file, because I mean, you can't say that you can't find those who have PhD holders, who are professors, who are educationists and are in the system. So it is just bad example, and that is why they want the person taken off and not appointed at all.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to my brother who has abandoned his kid brother. He says I don't look for him.
Look at you.
Even when I met him at a bakery shop, he didn't even buy me a bread. The only positive thing is that the wife is willing and determined to join NDC. For me, that is very positive. Because I told the wife that she has to join NDC. And she told me, okay, we'll see about that. So when someone says we'll see about that, it keeps you hoping. You see,
better to get you.
I would want to read what a colleague posted on his Facebook.
Which colleague are you talking about?
Honorable Vincent Eko Asaf. And he's not.
I'm told that he has since deleted the post.
Well, but the post is there. Whether he has deleted it or, but he hasn't denied it. If you told me that he denied it, then I wouldn't have made any comments on it. But the fact that he deleted and has not denied, then why must he even delete it? I mean, he spoke his mind. He's not just a member of parliament, he's also a member of the education committee. And for me, what he wrote, and I strongly believe he believed in it, is telling. If I can read, he says, heading, teacher unions embark on strike over dismissal of GES boss. When you have an ill-conceived, selfish and baseless recommendation emanating from the Ministry of Education to the presidency to relieve an educationist at the helm of affairs of his post, and bring in an alien, that's a strong word, to the industry, this is what happens. Then he goes, our democracy is growing. As a member of the Education Committee of Parliament, the recommendation from the Ministry of Education to the presidency is not only untenable, but also unreasonable and backward. These are very strong words. These strong words that are used strong. I know an Honorable Vincent very well. Very smart guy, very honest, very open-minded. And for him to have written such a thing, it tells you that the argument and the agitation against the appointment of a new Director General of Ghana Education Service is not only based on the fact that the person, they think that he is not one of them, but it is on a theft war.
You are speculating.
What speculation? Look, everybody knows.
Who and who?
Everybody knows.
Who and who,
that,
sir?
I'm saying that everybody knows that in Parliament, even on the Education Committee, the MPP members on the committee are divided. Everybody knows.
Are divided on the subject.
They are divided on many subjects. There's a tough war between those who are pro, my good friend, Honorable Napo, and those who are pro the current Minister for Education.
You mean that is the reason or the premise on which this impasse is happening?
But you've just read, I just read to you what a member of Parliament from the MPP side wrote and what he wrote on the matter. He is not telling us that the argument is strongly on the basis of the fact that the person is considered not to have the requisite requirements, or the requirements, I can use the requirements, or not because he's not an educationist. But he says that those who advise the president to have made this appointment, one, is a problem, and two, the removal of the former Director General of the Ghana Education Service. And he stated that in this is write-up. So clearly, you see, the man had been a director for tertiary, education. I asked this question on a similar program such as this. What kind of relationship did he establish or did he have with the teacher unions? We need to know. The teacher unions themselves need to let the people of this country understand the reasons why they are kicking against his appointment. You can't just say that we don't want him. You must provide evidences that are convincing. Look, I sympathize with teachers all the time because I'm a proud teacher. And for those who think, I'm a very proud one, very proud teacher. I sympathize with teachers, I sympathize with teacher unions. But the point is that if they want us to support them, then they must prove to us that the reasons why they are kicking against this appointment are reasons that are absolutely justified.
Honorable Mutala, are you saying that the three teacher unions kicking against the appointment of the Director General because he is not a thoroughbred educationist is wrong, while they had posited that it sends a certain negative signal about, if you look at the rank and file, aspiring within the profession to a certain high rank position?
I have a former...
Which is a high rank position of Director General.
I have a former teacher. In fact, he was even one of the head of administration at my former teacher training college. He sent me some information yesterday. And he sent it after we had similar, discussion on a sister TV station. And I stand to be corrected, but this was the information he sent to me. As part of the information he sent to me of requirements that is needed to be appointed as Director General of Ghana Education Service, they should have at least a minimum of second degree in education. A minimum of second degree in education. If that is true, and if it is true that the person who is appointed, and for which reason we are discussing this, doesn't have a minimum of second degree in education, he can be a professor emeritus. It will still not make him qualified. So
you are saying that he qualifies? I'm
saying that if he doesn't, I'm not saying he's qualified. I'm saying that what my former tutor sent to me, saying that for you to be appointed as Director General of Ghana Education Service, you should have at least a minimum of master's degree in education, and that this man doesn't have. Now, if it is true, this man doesn't have a minimum of master's degree in education as required, for you to be appointed as Director General of Ghana Education Service. He can even be Professor Emeritus. It would be wrong for such appointment. But my focus is what a member of the Committee of Education, who happened to have worked at the Ministry of Education before, the gentleman was as a spokesperson for the ministry, what he had posted, on his page, and he hasn't denied since. If he denied that, that's fine. But granted that he really posted this. Okay.
Well,
Now,
he did.
He did. So that is telling. He is not. Look, and if I can read it again, I would don't. But he's saying that it is not just about the appointment, but the advice that led to the appointment. One, he also raised issues about the dismissal or the removal of the former director general, because the argument that is
So you are saying that this is a tough war.
The argument that
so you are saying because it's a tough war.
The argument that is being made is that the former director general was appointed when Honorable Napo was the minister for education. Now this man was his deputy. The current minister for education was his deputy. He comes and he thinks that he must remove him and bring his own man and remove this person.
Hold your horse. I have the General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Tanko Musa. He's on the line. Good morning to you, Mr. Tanko Musa.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers and all your listeners.
I've heard the debate over the last 3 days on why you're opposing the appointments of this new DG. Is it that it is because it's a tough war? You, the teacher unions, are caught in the middle? Because that's what that is the interpretation Honorable Mutala is giving based on the post that was made by Vincent Akwa-Asefwa, who had worked in the ministry but also currently serves on the Education Committee of Parliament.
So once again, good morning to the panelists and then to yourself and all your viewers. Please, I think that this morning we have been invited to the Labour Commission. As I speak to you now, I am preparing on all the issues to enable us to listen to them, and whatever I see, the kind of response we'll provide. So we don't want to comment on other issues because people are raising legal issues and all that. So once we have been invited to the appropriate forum, I think when we get there, we're going to discharge all the all our duties and what is expected of us. But it is important that we place the following on record. Number one. Let me even look at the legal perspective. People have spoken about Article 195. We don't dispute that. That is the fundamental law of the land. That is the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. We all believe in it. And that gives the power to appoint CEOs in the public services under Article 190 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. We do not dispute that particular mandate. The second document or the second law, which was passed by our own parliament, it is the Pre-Tertiary Education Act. And if you look at specifically Section 19, who gives the president the mandate to appoint, we don't also dispute that. Having considered on these particular two things, it is important we also place on record that the labor law of Ghana, Act 203, was also passed by the same parliament. Unless somebody wants to tell me that that law was not passed by the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
What are you implying?
Don't worry, because you see, people sought to impugn our integrity like that what we are doing is just a moral issue. But we want to place it on record that we are talking about the issue of our collective agreement. And within the collective agreement, we have what we call scheme of sex. But Roland, it is important to point out one thing before I come to talk about collective agreement. You see, there are two things here. We have what we call the substantive rules, the procedural rules. The substantive rules has to do with the thing that I have mentioned to you, the Constitution, the Tertiary Education Act, among other things. The substantive rules simply means that who should get the work done. And here is the president. That's the appointing authority. But the procedural will tell you the processes that you must go through to get it done. And going through the processes, there are three stakeholders. You have the Ghana Education Service Council, you have the Public Services Commission, and to a large degree, you have the teacher unions. Our stake in this particular whole issue is about our collective agreement. And within our collective agreement, you have what we call the scheme of service. And in the scheme of service, the highest on the rank is the Director General. The highest of the rank is the Director General. And this was negotiated for. And so once it was negotiated for, it is not only this particular year that this thing, or in 2020 that was negotiated for. As far back as 1974, you can check all our conditions of service. This has been part of it. The Director General is the highest rank in the service. And I repeat, the Director General is the highest.
Mr. Musa, from your own submissions, are you indicating that because this has been the norm and this has been on paper, the position of the unions that the DG as appointed should be replaced by somebody who is an educationist, a thoroughbred educationist, is non-negotiable?
That's what I'm saying. It is not about norm here. It is about the law. People sought to create the impression like what we are doing has no legal, and I'm explaining that within the labor law, we have what we call collective agreement, and we negotiated for our collective agreement within the framework of the labor law. And within that particular framework, the highest rank on our scheme of service is the Director General. That's the highest rank in the Ghana Education Service. And so it comes to that particular point. Yes, the president appoints. Our share is that appoint educationists. The Ghana Education Service Council has its role to play, and then the Public Services Commission has its role to play. So these stakeholders are there. In as much as the president is supposed to appoint, these stakeholders, their roles they have to play towards the processes of getting it done cannot be ignored. So that is all that we are saying. So people should not create the impression like there is no any legal basis. You can look at the Public Services Manual and Policy document. They themselves indicated in that particular document that all Article 190 workers, that is the public services, should ensure that they comply with those principles. And the principles, one of the key principles at that particular document, how to do with the scheme of service. These are all legal documents, and aside all those things, the labor law was passed by the Parliament of Ghana. And so this is all that we are saying. So like I have said, we want to leave it here. We have been invited. We will certainly, or we will be summoned by the National Labour Commission. We shall be there this morning at 10 a.m. to actually respond to the call that we've been given. So when we return, I think we can take it out of them. So for now, we want to make it.
Musa, a last one before you go. I know you are going to the Labour Commission. Sir, I know you are going to the Labour Commission. I want to know, were you consulted by the minister in the processes in making the recommendations for this very appointment? Based on what you're telling me, that at least because you're stakeholders, your input also was needed, even though, of course, you do respect what the law says about the appointing authority.
You see, the issue here is this. Even if the most important thing is that our share of the whole process is appoint educationists. So if the educationist had been appointed, that could have been all.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thomas Tanko Musa is the General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Teachers. But it looks like they're insisting they want a thoroughbred educationist appointed. And then I think that the lack of involvement of the unions has brought us where we are.
Listening to my brother Musa, he did mention of two acts. That is the Article 195 and the Pre-Tertiary Education Act that mandates His Excellency the President to appoint CEOs and other heads of institutions and all that. He said they have no problem there. But from his narrative, you could see that the fact that the Public Service Commission and the Ghana Education Service were not, so to speak, involved in the appointment of the current Director General. They have a beef there. You see, what Honorable Asifua has posted on his wall, with all due respect to my brother, you see, when there are issues, when there are problems, you don't come to aggravate it. For me, what he published is totally needless. You are a member of Parliament, you have been a former spokesperson or PRO of the Ghana Education Service, and you are also a member of the Education Committee. So if there are problems that we all want a resolution to this problem, you don't come and write some of these things. And I'll appeal to him. He should contribute in making Nels cool down. He should use his influence and see how best they can resolve this matter. Do you understand? And for me, if I see him, and I want my brother to tell him that, please, with the situation what it is now, that is not how we want it to be resolved. Because whether you like it or not, you are a member of parliament and member of government. So if there are issues between the Ministry of Education, headed by the minister, and the unions, you should partner the minister to find a solution to the problem that we see at hand, but not to come and publish all these things. My prayer is that this morning, when they go to meet the Labour Commission, he's a senior in Parliament, Asparo. I pray that cool nerves, because what it is now, prevail. The children are in school, their teachers are out of the classroom. It is not helping us. Okay. It is not helping us. All right. So let's have some belief in what the president has brought to us. And the minister must work closely with the unions. I'm saying mutual respect among social partners is always the solution to all these problems. What has been the relation between the minister and the mother unions? I know they could be fine, but in this particular matter, where it has been to, it should do more than what I'm seeing. I think that some communication has not gotten well. That is why it has broken down so well. So please, after resolution of this problem, it should be seen to be doing more with the unions. Engagement.
Well, it is very clear that this current minister has not been able to engage the unions as Napo did. It is very, very clear. I mean,
you are rating.
Well, I'm not rating them.
It's not about rating.
I'm just stating what the facts, are based on even what the submissions he made. If they were engagement, I don't think that would have been where we are. I'm not suggesting in any way that you can't have some of these things, happening even with engagement. But the reason why you would have them happen even with engagement is that perhaps the engagement has not been properly done. We didn't experience much of this. Look, I'm a member of parliament. I'm not a member of the education committee. But at least we have friends who are on the committee. We try to find out whether the committee has made some attempts to resolve some of these issues, or whether indeed members of the committee who work directly with the Ministry of Education have some hint that some of these things could happen. The other day, on this same program, the current PR at the Ministry of Education, the things he said also about the former minister, you remember? Kwesi Kwarteng happened to be a boy of the current minister. This our colleague happened to be a boy of the former minister. So, no, look, we can pretend for God knows how long. There's a tough war. And that tough war is that a director general who was appointed under a particular ministry, that minister is no longer there. He's been moved to Minister of Energy. His deputy, who was deputizing him when he was the minister, is now the substantive minister. And he also thinks that, no, I need to change the director general. One question I was expecting you to ask the gentleman you interviewed. He
says they're going to...
No, I wanted you to find out from him whether it is true for you to be appointed a Director General of Ghana Education Service, you should have a minimum of masters in education. If that is true, it doesn't matter what anybody says. You can be a professor of emeritus. You will still not be qualified, to be there. Now, I listened to the reasons given by the current minister too, that he appointed this, he ensured that this director, or recommended this director, this person for he to be appointed by the president as the Director General of Ghana Education Service to help him in tackling the financial issues within the educational sector. Are the financial issues so difficult that anybody without finance background cannot help? And I think that we need to, what has been the practice? All the people who have been appointed as Director Generals, have they all been educationists? If they have all been educationists, why are you changing now? You should give reasons why you are changing. But I expect, Ghanaians also expect further and better explanation and reasons from the teacher unions. You don't just tell us that because he's not an educationist. You should give us reasons. And one of the examples, the reasons sent to me by my former tutor, for me, it would be compelling, if it is true, that he say, look, we are not just saying that because he's not an educationist. We also think that he doesn't have the requirements. The requirements doesn't mean that he's not well educated to handle that post. But the requirements needed or condition precedents for him to be appointed as Director General was not there, and therefore we think that he shouldn't. But let me just make this last point. You see, in the eyes of all this who suffer, the students, in the eyes of all this, now, my brother raised an issue. Students are in the school, teachers are not there. Take the secondary schools. Parents would have to be pumping money. You pump money for students to do what? To learn. Are
you saying that the welfare of the teacher is not important?
No, I'm not saying that it is not important.
So that also has to be fought alongside.
No, but what is even critical is not just the teachers, but the students. Every teacher is seeking the interest and the comfort of his pupils. Now, if students are in school, and because government has not been able, and when I say government here, the Ministry of Education and others are not been able to resolve this issue, who suffers? The student suffers. But the body that is to resolve this issue, the Labour Commission, they don't have anything. Look, I will challenge you. Go there, find out what their budget line have been and what has been their list. About 300,000 Ghana cedis. I don't think their budget was up to 1 million. Go and find out from Labour. You take away salaries. How much is left for them for administrative purposes, for resolving issues such as this? You'll be shocked. So I would urge you, let your people go and find out. And in fact, if you take the 2022 budget statement, check the budget line for the Labour Commission, okay? Then go and take away salary, look at administration. Even the electricity, my understanding is that they have a lot of debts on electricity. They can't even pay their electricity. So if you are not even comfortable, if you don't have the requisite skill, in this case, the resources, to be able to do the work, how can you even find solution to such matters?
But Roland, the Asparo has not complained about the fact that from what Honorable Mutala is.
He can't complain.
Can we move on to an issue?
He has not been complaining. So
he has complained.
There's a very important.
Is not the issue.
He's crying in silence.
I have full confidence that Asparo will find a way to resolve this impasse between the ministry and unions. It's about going to manage.
If you go there and then they cut their lives and they're sitting in the heat. They are in debt, the lives bills, they haven't been able to.
Many of you are complaining that we're having difficulty with our Facebook Live. It keeps rebooting. I'm sure that will be rectified very soon. But inflation is expected to cross the 40% mark, according to what the projections are for this month. It also means that consumer spending will be highly affected. The president is currently at Sharm el-Sheikh, had been telling the international community that the developed countries need to redeem their promise of 100 billion. We need to make sure that we situate all that. The argument we've always made is that we're not alone in this crisis. Even those that we want to have a lot of funding from also are in these difficulties. How do we marry the two? Honorable Titus Glover.
Thank you very much, Roland. If I cast my minds back to the maiden address by His Excellency the President on the economic challenges that we are facing, one thing that I've believed and still convinced is his admission of the fact that we are not in normal times. And the fact that whatever he will do with the support of the people of this country to get ourselves out of this challenge is his focus that he's looking at as of now. I shared some few videos with you last week.
I had already seen those videos.
Yes, I shared some few because the impression that my good friend and his colleagues and his party want to paint out there is the fact that we have caused our own problem. And for that matter, there is no way we should make referral to what is happening globally that is facing us.